I asked my viewers, people much like you. People really wanted to see me do an MP only run, but I didn't want to do that, and also some of my more hardcore fans did not want to see me do that either. By some unforeseeable circumstance while doing my Team Soccer fight and my Luigi plus frame 1 no items challenge, the stars magically aligned and I was forced to do a TP only challenge. On behalf of all my viewers, thank you for being so putridly selfish. And I decided, let's do it in the hard mode just because. Oh wait, did I say hard mode? I mean hardest mode. Only one rule. Or really two. One, I can only level up TP whenever I do rank up, and HP plus is banned. Enjoy the video, because it's showtime. Fun fact, this is actually my first time ever doing a hardest challenge run through this game. And since hard mode is always presumed to be on, hard mode is really a useless medal. All it does is turn my squad into peeboos. Now I realize it's a little too late, and by a little too late I mean after I finished the fight with Spooter and I was actually looking back at my footage after finishing the fight. I equipped HP Plus to V, which was a mistake because HP Pluses are actually banned, and I guess while we're at it we can ban Heart Berries too. Not an official rule, but I never bothered using them because I just never needed them. And fortunately, equipping this HP Plus really did not matter because V always had at least more than 2 HP by the end of this fight, like she ended the fight with 3 HP. Regardless, we did not have much of a strategy for Spooter, we just kinda beat him up and then went on our way. I don't want to say that it was not a hard fight by any means, but I will have to say that my blocks were really freaking sharp, so I can only just own it up to my own skill at this game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I find it weird that Spooter actually has less HP in the hardest mode than on hard mode. He only has 31? Why? I'm not playing with any extra menu codes, just hardest, so I really have no idea why his HP is actually lower in this difficulty setting than with only hard mode on. The Wasp Trooper before the Golden Hills was pretty basic, just keep attacking with Kabu, not much else really to it. Then was Arya, but I decided it would probably be a good idea to instead first get Super Block Plus. So the first thing I did was help the Golden Sediment Technician, and I got my medal, and now I'm ready to go for the fight. I figured that Kabu had enough HP, but Leaf really didn't, and if I really had to heal Kabu, I could just give him sleep resistance and give him a drowsy cake to heal him up to full. Leaf, however, did not have that kind of security, so I figured he probably could use a little bit extra help. It ultimately did not matter, but better safe than sorry. Then came Zasp and Mava, who I don't really like fighting this early in the game because it really brought to my attention a really big issue I'd have. And that's that with only 5 medal points max, you really can't afford to hold very many medals. Like, you have enough for some strategies, and by some I mean like 2, but otherwise you're very constricted in your options. Realistically though, your only real options are either to use back support and maybe have Kabu in the back to taunt, or to maximize your synergy, equip Super Block Plus to one bug, Heavy Sleeper to another, and the last one having sleep resistance. Having my max HP be solo also meant Zasp would be a pretty big problem, especially if Mava gets knocked out early. So I figured I'll try to get lucky with using Leap's Freezing Ice Fall to freeze Zasp solid and then KO Mava while he can't really react. And yeah, that was really the play to win the game. I could have tried to weather all the damage by using Heavy Sleeper or maybe some Drowsy Cakes, but I really doubt that my odds would have been very good here. So hey, we take those. But where Zasp and Mava forced me to get lucky, Venus Guardian forced me to be tactical. At all costs, do not let Venus summon a Venus Bud. If she does, you're basically never going to win, because having the little bit of damage you do be healed off by the Venus Bud is gonna really hurt you. Bringing some more items to heal yourself would not be a bad idea either, because the Venus Guardian does a lot of damage, especially with its hard seeds. What you're going to want to do actually is have either Kabu or Leaf focus on attacking, and maybe have V also relay her turns or offer support by using items with her. Keep doing this until the Venus Guardian takes to the skies, and then have V be your main attacker. Venus Guardian has -1 defense to everything while it's airborne, which means you can just do your basic attack and do extra damage with her. Also, make sure to only attack it once. If you can get Leaf's break skill, which you should be able to since you beat Zasp and Mava, do that because it helps to reach the 3rd phase faster. Once Venus gets her dialogue and how you fight dirty, now it's safe to knock out the Venus Guardian. And by knockout, I mean knock it out of the sky. Because it's only now that you pass the threshold where she'll summon a Venus Bud. And from there you just stay alive and finish the fight as fast as you possibly can. And that should just about wrap it all up. After chapter 2 though, things got complicated. I learned that Heavy Sleeper would really not be very useful because I only have 9 HP max on Kabu, and he only heals 3 HP per turn. So yeah, that's not gonna really help us out very much. There was also no chance I'd be able to beat Devourer because of how much damage he can do with all of his fly traps and the picture plane itself. Not like it really mattered because I wasn't gonna bother with Monster Scarlet anyway. You see, when it comes down to the Underground Tavern, there really aren't very many medals that are worthwhile to get. I could totally beat him, don't get me wrong, but it also just is not worth trying because of how much luck I do with Frigid Coffin freezing him. We can also only challenge him at the very beginning of Chapter 3, and at that point, he has an additional +1 attack, and some of his attacks, especially his area of effect move, just cause a lot of heartache. So let's talk about him later. The Bandit and Wasp ambush was really gnarly. Long story short, you don't want anyone to get knocked out in this fight. It will mean your undoing and you just will not be able to catch up. I mean, I could also suggest bringing more items than just a single honey drop like an idiot like I am. But hey, what's life without a little risk, am I right? We do have a lot of TP, so the extra TP wasn't really going to be helping us very much. But on the bright side, V can convert some TP into HP thanks to her secret stash. Of course, we want to be more offensive than defensive since we really can't pull it off very well yet. Icefall and Dash did the trick, but it would have been really good to have some more items to heal with. With this fight finished though, I cannot think of a much better time to finally get the medal favorite one. Now on my medals tier list, I put this as an S tier medal, and no one disagrees with that, and good thing too, because it's in this run where this medal really comes into its own. Now you're probably thinking, why would you use a medal to make your defense even lower when you only have 7 and 9 HP max? Oh, you're gonna love this. So favorite one's effect is that it reduces the equipped bug's defense by 1, but if they're attacked, the other 2 bugs you have on your team gain +1 charge at the end of the turn. That on its own sounds counterintuitive, but did you get Leaf's Bubble Shield Light? A move that blocks any and all damage for the selected bug you protect. I'm pretty dang sure you can see now where I'm going with this. By giving Kabu favorite one and then using Leaf to protect him with Bubble Shield Light, Kabu will take absolutely no damage, redirect the attacks from both Leaf and V, who have very little HP by comparison to him, meanwhile making both Leaf and V too angry to die as they get stronger and stronger the more Kabu is attacked, and allowing us to smash through bosses in record time with fully charged attacks like Hurricane Toss and Tornado Toss, and later on Leaf's Ice Rain. Of course, we don't quite have the TP to really utilize the strategy quite yet. And for as good as Crispy Donuts are in restoring our TP, it's not the best item we have access to for it. Enter Aarx Shrooms. No, I am not joking. Special thanks to Arthur Yu for the idea that he gave me on my medals tier list for defensive medals. Aarx Shrooms numb the user for 1 turn and restore 6 TP, meaning that every turn you can have Kabu taunt, have another bug numb him using an Aarx Shroom, and then have your third and final bug take advantage of the charge status, and continue attacking for darn near free. And when your non-attacking bug that's not Kabu reaches max charge, switch their roles. Now you're able to keep up the assault and have near impenetrable defense the entire way through the fights. AoE moves can still cause you trouble because you don't have a lot of HP and you can only protect 1 bug at a time with Bubble Shield Light, but no AoE attacks before Team Mackie and Slacker can kill you in 1 hit, at least provided you block it all. And if the AoE is a charge attack, that just gives you time to use Bubble Shield for everybody, not just for 1 bug. Thanks to this strategy, the bosses of Chapter 3, A Honey Nation, and Heavy Drone B33 were child's play. Mother Chomper is one of few bosses to have absolutely 0 AoE attacks, so the Porphyry was completely helpless here. Thanks to Taunt and Shock Trooper, she could not do anything at all. It's also worth mentioning though that at the very beginning of Chapter 4, every foe you encounter has a +1 defense boost as well. Though in the grand scheme of things, all that really amounts to is fights taking slightly longer. Kabu's piercing properties become much more attractive, and Chompy even gains a +1 attack bonus on hardest. I noticed this because Chompy actually started doing 4 damage against enemies that had the defense lowered. Moving on, Astopheles was kinda tricky. Just like Mother Chomper, he has absolutely 0 AoE attacks. However, unlike every other enemy in the game, he also bans you from using items in battle. And since this is hardest, he has a +2 attack bonus, meaning that his sword stabs can actually do 3 damage with super blocks. Not even on Kabu, I'm talking about Leaf and V. So if he really wanted to, he could effortlessly drop you from max HP to 0. In response, in the earlier stages of this fight, I made Kabu my main attacker, but I also had him focusing on support. He would attack, turn relay with V, have Leaf use his Bubble Shield Light on him, and then taunt, and it was basically just rinse and repeat. Not only did we have plenty of TP, but we also got bonus TP for meditation if we really needed it. And of course, Kabu still has favorite one, so after a few turns of waiting, we're able to do some real carnage. Give him credit where it's due though, even now he still manages to make me think outside the box. both Dune Scorpion and Broodmother were completely trivial bosses, so let's move on to the Watcher. Unlike B33, the Watcher actually did bother to use an area of effect attack at least once on me. And as you can see, the damage is terrifying. To be on the safe side, when the Watcher is in its ice form, it may be a good idea to use Bubble Shield for everybody and not just Kabu to make sure that everyone is safe at the end of the turn. In his sand form, however, he's near harmless. When he burrows under the ground, he's only ever going to target Kabu as long as you taunt, and you can force the Watcher to resurface by using Leaf's basic attack, or if you have V charged enough, just use Hurricane Toss. All in all, not too scary for a Haunted Cloth of Roach remains. By now you must have noticed that Kabu's ability to sponge attacks for you makes this run very easy. And it's for this reason that Caelii and Kabu is actually a really freaking hard fight. Given just how unpredictable Kabu is, you may want to focus on Caelii as fast as you possibly can. Frost really will do the trick, but you have to be fast about it or you may just end up getting buried alive. And while we're at it, using either V's Heavy Throw or Leaf's Break skill to reduce Caelii's defense to 0 would also be a very good idea. Otherwise, you get to a point where you'll do absolutely 0 damage after every hit you land. And for a move this expensive, you don't want that to happen. I then get Ice Rain before the fight with Sen NPC, and to be honest, this fight really is not worth bringing up. I didn't even bother to get Aarx Shrooms. I just muscled through sheer teamwork point usage, and that was literally all I had to do. By the way, remember what I said about AoE attacks? No? Well, this Leaf Bug Clubber is going to remind you. Next up, the Beast. It's same old up until the 10 HP phase where he knocks out both Leaf and V in one shot. Because Kabu had favor when equipped, if I had missed one super block on either of his attacks, it would have been curtains for me. I played literally perfect from this point forward and I only had 1 HP left. If that's not scary, I don't know what is. But with that over and done with, I feel like challenging some bounties. While fighting Seedling King, let me tell you about Deep Taunt and Status Relay. Deep Taunt is a medal that gives Kabu's taunt the properties of reducing enemy defense and increasing its attack stat for 1 turn. In concept, it's rather double-edged, but in execution, thanks to Bubble Shield Light, you can take absolutely 0 damage from attacks that only target a single bug, and for the Seedling King, that's extremely important. Not only does he have 0 AoE attacks until phase 2 where a Seedling stopped carrying him, but because of the mechanics of hard mode, you actually are going to be able to reduce his defense to 0, and in some instances, a boss will be treated as having -1 defense thanks to using Hurricane Toss with their defense being down. In regards to Status Relay though, I really only had this medal equipped to V because I don't want to use her as my attacker. I want to focus entirely on Leaf here. Ice Rain may be expensive, but it doesn't really cost that much in the grand scheme of things when you have so much TP. And Leaf does more damage than V using an elemental attack that's super effective against plants. It also helped that twice I managed to freeze the Seedling King on my last hit of Ice Rain. That's just really lucky. And since now Seedling Haven is unlocked, it's going to be much easier to find golden seedlings, and in addition, Tangy Berries, which I have not found even one of yet in this entire playthrough. Then I challenged Devourer, and this is another boss which I had to be a lot more creative to beat. Instead of Favorite One, I was running Miracle Matter. However, this is also the only boss where I was running hard hits as a strategic choice. This is because at any given point, Devourer can use his area of effect attack, which actually has him slam his head into the ground and trap a random bug of his choice in its mouth. If he does that, there's a chance that he'll trap Kabu, and at that point, it's over. So I make sure to guarantee that if he does do that move turn 1, which he does by the way, both Leaf and V will immediately get knocked out. To my knowledge, if you only have 1 bug alive at a time, Devourer cannot trap them in its mouth. It's impossible. From there, I'd have Kabu just spam using shot candies on himself with Shock Trooper, and we're just playing the waiting game. All I'm doing now is just making myself invincible while having Leaf automatically revive himself and then using Ice Rain every time he does come back up. It's a very cheesy and scuffed strategy, but it does work, and since it's Devourer, I really don't care. By the way, just so you know, shot candies numb you for 3 whole turns and also restore 9 TP. Just thought you should know. Then there was General Ultimax. In reality, this fight isn't really that hard, but if the Wasp Bomber throws a bomb and you don't block it, you're pretty much dead. It wouldn't be so bad if I had more TP, but I don't, so oops. And you're probably thinking like, how can you not have enough TP? You have like 50 freaking 9. Well, I didn't enter the fight with max TP, that's the problem. Oh yeah, remember Monsieur Scarlet? Yeah, let's beat him up now in chapter freaking 6. By no means a noteworthy mini-boss, but I decided to be interesting to try using Rail the Kree in this fight. Needless to say, it was really fun to do. Riz was also pretty whatever. Second verse, same as the first 10, I guess. Though, just look how quickly everything can fall apart when I run out of TP to use. I deviate from my strategy just a little bit because I have no more TP, and I just get completely obliterated. Staying true to my tactics, however, this was a fight I was able to win and use literally every single point of TP I had. Perfect TP usage and perfect damage. Cappy would be proud. Enter Tidal Worm, the boss that dared to do what few other bosses could. Use this area of effect move twice. Once again, I resorted to using the Aarx Shrooms, but it only barely worked. I went with like 13, the max I was able to hold for the level I was at. I came out with 0. Thank Venus for pep talk, cause I would have been done for otherwise. Beginning the chapter 6 bosses, there's Primal Weevil. I ended up overestimating V's damage output and I lost on my first attempt. Also AoE, and well, Lady Luck was just not smiling on me, I guess. Otherwise, the fight itself wasn't too bad. Then there was Zamoth. I had one itty bitty little blunder where I accidentally nunned the V using an Aarx Shroom, so I had to protect it using Leaf's bubble shield, and then an AoE happened. All of a sudden my blunder is more of a mistake. Not too much later, Zamoth is dead, and we have Frost Bowling now. A move I got because I may or may not need it for the fight with Mava and Zasp. Zasp is a bit of a bully after all, which leads us nicely into the Coliseum. Everything we fight here has nothing but single target attacks, the only exception being Mava over songs. After running through a lot of our Aarx Shrooms, we come out the Coliseum champions. Though that wasn't to say that RNG was favorable, in fact it was pretty dang bad. All I'm gonna say is that Zasp really loves to taunt and get on my nerves. I'm pretty sure also that trying to jeopardize Team Statemouth when they're on diplomatic duty with the Queen is treason. Hey Lisa, can I order a beheading of freaking Mava the Diaper Girl and her simp? Society would be much freaking better off. Though RNG really could not be much worse than it was with the fight with Carmina. A roulette with statuses that ignore Bubble Shield, a dive block that ignores all sorts of defense, and all of these status elements that we just cannot account for all of it all. This fight was by no means frustrating, but it was very annoying. Fortunately, it was a one and done, so whatever. By this point, the little extra TP we get from a Aarx Shroom really isn't going to be worth it anymore, so I'm now shifting gears to instead use berry smoothies. These babies restore all of your TP. Nuff said. We then go to beat up Peacock Spider and False Monarch just because we can, and just like that, all the bounties are taken care of. Now there's Ultimax Tank, and as you may have noticed, we have 8, 10, and 8 HP. This is because at rank 11, my HP is automatically boosted by 1. Using Patton's Hut though, this is treated as if you used Heart Berries, not a full level up. So by my rules, it's fair game, but I also just really don't care. This happened earlier while I was grinding on Golden Seedlings in the Seedling Haven. And the same bonus happened for my TP as well. I guess I should come out and say that when I was fighting the Denlander ambush, I accidentally had hard hits equipped. And the damage with that medal on is, catastrophic. Thanks to Kabu's pep talk though, we were able to manage. And truth be told, with Deep Taunt, Favorite One, Status Relay, and Leaf's Ice Rain, there really is no saving the Fire Constructs, the Wasp King, or the Everlasting King. I won't sugarcoat it, they never stood a chance. And I really don't have much else to say. The strategy that I was using since Chapter 3 was the strategy I used up to the Everlasting King, the final boss. As custom though, we will fight Team Slacker and Team Mackie. Because after all, you can't end the Bug Fables challenge on Phantom Mate's channel without beating the 2 super bosses at the end of the game. So you know how Hardest actually gives everything +1 attack and +1 defense after a certain point in the game? Well, Team Mackie gets +2 attack and +2 defense. This means Mackie has a whopping 5 defense unboosted. All that's really changed though was that I had to use Kabu to attack. This fight played very similarly to Astosceles. The only difference, I was able to use items. And since I feel like being a jerk, I knocked out Yin first, then Kina, and then Mackie last. Anyway, the strategy behind this fight was to use Kabu's Understrike because his attacks ignore all defense. This however also means that Deep Taunt would be pretty much useless, so I just took it off. And my metas for the rest of the game is having Kabu be equipped with Favorite One, and Leaf being equipped with Status Relay. After all, Kabu still has to taunt because otherwise both Leaf and V are goners, and V at least has Needle Toss which does pierce all defense just like Kabu's Understrike does. This fight was long. No joke, the fight took more than 20 minutes on my first attempt. And ultimately, it was also just really repetitive. Fortunately, despite Maki having an AoE attack, he never once used it. So the chance of me dying was basically insignificant if not non-existent. It helped that his team attack with Kina was very easy to telegraph because he always charges up first. And when that happens, I just use my bubble shield for everybody. So yeah, that's Team Meki, but how about Team Slacker? Team Slacker took almost half an entire hour to beat. And just throwing this out there, I have not bothered using any Super Peppers or Iron Seeds. All I used was my unbridled teamwork. As a whole, this fight was just more of the same. The only real difference is that at half HP, both Stratos and Delilah have double turns, and that means that Stratos can both charge and then hit everyone at once with his area of effect attack, which fortunately, he never charged and used that move in a single turn. He would normally just attack and then he would charge, and then he'd use his area of effect move when I've already used my bubble shield. The reason this fight took so long though, is that Stratos and Delilah are not stingy with their items at all. Something I find exceedingly annoying, and you can see why yourself if I already used items by watching my choppy only video on the screen right now. No, seriously, click the video, and when you do, comment that you did while you're there. After all, your watch time is great for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks in advance!